Hey, happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. Sorry, I'm just adjusting that a little bit. Am I kind of centered? That looks good. Hey, happy Saturday. Welcome to the stream. How's everyone doing? Yeah, happy Saturday. What are you guys working on? Yeah, so Saturdays are always fun for me, but they're always kind of busy. And yeah, this Saturday is no different. So I apologize. This morning I wasn't around in Discord. Hey, thanks for the follow, Dragonek. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. But yeah, this morning I wasn't around in Discord. I was visiting with a neighbor, old neighbor that I hadn't seen in maybe a year, and just hanging out. So yeah, I'm here now. So happy Saturday. Welcome to the stream. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Most likely you found me somehow from YouTube, so thanks for making it all the way over here. Greatly appreciated. If you've been here before, hey, welcome back. Thank you so much. I see familiar faces. I want to say faces, but names. I see familiar names, so thank you guys all for coming back and spending just about, an hour with me on Saturday. That's something we do too. I try to limit this to roughly an hour. I started a couple minutes late. I'll try to end a couple minutes late too. But today I do kind of have a hard stop, only because daylight's a burning. Daylight's a burning, which leads into weather. So weather, I usually start with weather. So weather in Minneapolis here is actually pretty awesome. It's high of 53 and sunny this fine November day, November 26th. And it's sunny and warm, relatively speaking. And for me, that means I have to go clean up and break down the patio furniture that I didn't do like a week or two ago because I was so busy. It totally slipped my mind, and I didn't do it because we had a Halloween party, and I was like, I'll keep it out to Halloween. And then a week passed, and then another week passed. I was like, oh yeah, I never took apart our patio furniture and stuff. So I need to do it today. And the sun sets here at 4:30. 4:30. So, which, here it's 3:17. So as soon as I stop, I gotta go out there and do that. Anyways, that's enough of just stuff we need to do, because we all got stuff we need to do. Anyways, so stuff I did. How about that? How about stuff I did? So stuff that I have been working on this past week. You probably saw it this morning. I released a video on like some of my UPS upgrades, and they are pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I know. So this came up, and I might as well say, I might as well address it. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but every now and then, I should say it that way. Some people comment and say like, hey, this is a commercial, or hey, you got this stuff for free, or those stuff. I mean, if you do stuff on YouTube or any social network, and brands want to give you products, all of a sudden you're the bad guy for accepting products and talking about those products. And it happens a lot. It doesn't happen a lot on my channel. It happens sometimes. So I figured, hey, I'll address it here. And I get that. I get that, because it's hard to separate, someone's honest opinion from the thing that they received. And, I always give my honest opinion on everything. And a lot of channels do this. Almost every channel does it. You may or may not know, but almost every channel does it because, hey, there are ways to support the channel. One is doing brand deals, and another is there's all kinds of ways, but another way is getting free products, either to review and send back, or to keep. And so my channel has always been just kind of documenting my Homelab journey, and the UPSs that I got today, yeah, were absolutely free. But I hope it didn't seem like a commercial or anything like that. I do want to shine some kind of spotlight on the products that I get, and talk about the features that I like and what I'm excited about. But I rarely do just straight up review videos. And you see a lot of channels doing review videos. In those review videos, that's pretty much getting a product for free, or sometimes a review sample that they need to send back. Anyways, I am maybe you guys don't care, but I'm just it was top of mind. But anyways, in my channel, I don't do straight up like review things. I do more like, I'm gonna document my Homelab journey. Hey, Merlin, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thank you so much, and I'll get into events here in a second. Oh, yeah, lights are working. Those are bright. I did a little adjusting on them. But anyways, on my channel, I don't do a ton of like review videos. Not really. I do a lot of stories about Homelab, and then tutorials. And so sometimes those products work their way into my story because they help me tell the story, and that's what I'm doing. So anyways, I feel like I'm explaining to people who may not even mind or understand that that's how it works. So anyways, don't want you to think like, hey, like these are just commercials for companies. No, I'm just documenting my journey. Anyways, that was top of mind because I read a comment, I don't know, a little bit earlier, and I was like, that's not really me. Anyways. I could go on for a while about this, but I'm not going to because you guys don't want to hear me like complain about stuff. So anyways, we all have enough to complain about, and my complaints aren't even really complaints. They're just sometimes you need to vent, and I always choose like public not to be the place where I vent. So that wasn't an event. That was me explaining a little bit, and I try not to ever vent in public because everybody's got stuff going on, and if I vent about things that aren't really that important in the grand scheme of things, it's not that important. So anyways, I'll get over it. Hey, is that MDT Greasy? Grease Monkey. Hey, resub Prime, 4 months streak. 4 months Prime. Woot. I like the woot with the W. How's it going? Thank you so much for the continued support. Anyways, I'll get off that soapbox, and let's talk about anyways, I'll finish my story before I went on a rant. Was just that, hey, I got these UPSs. I'm getting them set up. I really enjoy them. They really hooked me up even more than I thought they were going to, and just like I'm super appreciative of that. And as you guys know, I had a trip light. I still have a trip light in my server rack now. My other rack, I bought one, because I believe in their products. So anyways, that's the whole UPS I did the nut video with. Anyways, I feel like I'm anyways, I'll get over it. So if you guys are working on stuff, I would love to know. I would love to know if you're working on something, or if you want to share something, or if you want to talk about something or figure something out. Hey, let's toss it in chat and figure it out. I would love to. This is my one chance every week to 100% nerd out on the stuff that I love. Don't get me wrong. Throughout the week, when I'm a software engineer or a bird nerd or any of these other things, I kind of nerd out too. But this is the time where I totally get to nerd out about Homelab, because I know very few people in real life who are into this stuff, like most of the stuff that I'm into. But there are some things that are super niche like this, where it's like, I don't have the time to talk to people. Well, I don't have the people to talk to, even if they had the time to talk about this stuff. So if you want to talk about something, throw it in chat and let's talk about it. Let's talk about tech stuff. So yeah, so real quick, I'll get into, let's get into announcements and announcements. Sorry, I have something else in my head about announcements from this morning. Anyways, let's get into events. That's what they're called, events, announcements. I feel like I'm like at school, the school news, because that's what we were talking about this morning with my neighbor. Anyways, so some events that happened right before we went live. I'm going to start here. Yowie, thanks for the follow. The Heavy Yarms, thanks for the follow. Craig O'Neill, thanks for the follow. Vertex, thanks for the follow. Dragon Ek ECC, thanks for the follow. And then Merlin and MDT Grease Monkey, thank you both for the Prime sub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, let's first answer who was here first. I know who was here first because I was doing a little bit of testing. Just to make sure that everything was working, because I had to move lights back in here and move stuff in here and kick the bot, make sure he was working. Let's see. The first person I know, I can't see it underneath here, but I know it was Mafni. So Mafni, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for being here. Salvarius, close second. So thank you so much for being here. And Xavius even knows that Mafni's hanging out in the channel before it starts. Sometimes. Most of the time he is. But let's see what's going on. 07. Okay, let's go. Dr. Cuddle, how's it going? Haven't seen Dr. Cuddle in a little while. How's it going? Hopefully things are going well. I still remember when you popped in the stream a long time ago, because I was like, is this seriously Dr. Cuddle? Dr. CTL or Dr. I say Cuddle because it's funny, especially when you put a doctor in front of it. It's getting kind of weird. But hey, thanks for being here. Round. Oh, you told me how to pronounce your name, I think like 2 months ago. And I'm doing it again. But hey, I'll remember here in a little bit. You told me how to pronounce your name. You spelled it out phonetically, and I was like, got it. But that was like 2 or 3 months ago. So anyways, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah. What are you guys working on? Hi. Watching this guy, Tim. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Captain Cool, doubt it. Not at all. Not at all. All around. I'm gonna go with Ruhan. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. You're gonna spell it phonetically again. Ruhan. I got it. It was Ruhan. All right. Ruhan, how's it going? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Ruhan. Subnet ran out of IP addresses using AWS EKS. So you're using AWS EKS is their Kubernetes as a service in AWS. Ooh, ran out of IP addresses. How many nodes do you have? You must have a lot of nodes on that subnet then. You must be running a pretty big cluster, I assume. Because if you're running out of IP addresses, I think the only thing on that subnet that should have, IP addresses that are signed are the nodes. Oh, unless you mean, I don't know. I mean, unless you mean like your public IP addresses. But I'm assuming you mean that. Man, that's what do you even do? Then you got a subnet, or you got to do something else, or something. Yeah, that's tough. That is tough. I assume it's your Kubernetes nodes. But then again, yeah, because in EKS you don't have to manage the nodes, but you can provision nodes. I guess I put it that way. Pretty awesome. Hope you figure it out. That sounds like a tough problem to fix. Hope you figure it out for sure. Let's see. Never fear. Boris is here. How's it going, Boris? Love the color. Stop. Still. AIOs. Oh, so this one must have been on the intro screen. Yeah, my AIO. It's my AIO pump on my PC. Yeah, it's got a lot of colors. It's really the colors on the pump itself are white, but then my RAM are like rainbow color. I had all of my RAM and everything white for a period of time. Oh yeah, blue. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is my favorite one. I'm not gonna pick favorites, but if I were to, it's one of these. Hey, Mafney, thank you so much. Cheered 100 bits, dude. Thank you so much, Mafney. Appreciate it. But yeah, my CPU cooler it glows or pulses white, and I used to put all my RAM and everything white. But then I had to use that motherboard software for my motherboard, and I noticed like it was taking a lot of CPU a lot of times. I'm like, really? Like this thing is using a lot of CPU just to change the RGB on my motherboard? So then I ended up just removing it, and so the default is rainbow twinkling. So that's what I kept it as. I'll revisit it when I build my new PC, my new workstation here soon, which I hope is soon. It's about time. Loggy light. I'm gonna go with that. Log I light. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. But yeah, hopefully I have a PC build coming soon. I know that, I think a lot of people are excited for AMD's new stuff. I know Intel released their 1300 processors that look pretty awesome. And I'm still undecided. I've been a long time Intel, NVIDIA. That's like my power couple for PC building. It's been that way for a long time. I may or may not stick with them. We'll see. But I'm definitely excited to build one. My PC right now is at 8700K. Like it's old. Like I mean, old is, kind of relative. Well, not really relative because it is time. But I guess it's relative to the work that you do, because if it didn't feel old on the stuff I was doing, I would think it felt new. Anyways, so performance is starting to be a bottleneck on my machine. Mainly, I only get 32 gigs of RAM. I know that sounds like a lot, but when I edit videos like I was last night, Premiere, I have Premiere open, Photoshop open, and a couple other things, 32 gigs of RAM is just gone. So I think my next build is definitely going to go. I'm going to max it out to 128 gigs on day one. That's kind of what I do. Mainly because sometimes it's hard to get the same RAM like years later. And I've been in that situation before where I can't find the same kit that I bought years later, and I'm like, oh great. So anyways, I think when I build my new machine, I'm gonna max it out right away and then use it for 6 years, like I did with this one, my 8700K, 6 years old. I swapped out a couple SSDs here and there, and I bought a 3090. But other than that, it's the same way that I built it the day that I built it. So Anyways, I'm looking forward to that, and maybe an AIO too. A lot of people say AIOs leak. I've been super fortunate with mine. Mine has not leaked a drop that I know of. And now that I say that, it's probably going to happen, and then force me to build something even faster. That would actually really suck if it started leaking, because I would have to figure out something real fast. Because this machine that I have right here, other than my MacBook for work, is the only machine I have. I don't have a gaming rig. I don't have a editing rig and then some other rig. No, this is my all-in-one machine. I do everything on it. Everything you're seeing right now, everything you see everywhere else, all the code that I write, it's right here. I mean, work code goes on my MacBook, but yeah, so if something happened to this machine, I'd be in big trouble. I feel like that's a liability. Like I should have a backup machine. But I always know in the back of my head, if it really came down to it, I would do stuff on my MacBook for personal. Anyways, as you can or may or may not be able to tell, I'm super excited for building my new machine at some point. JP DSC, Techno Tim, swapping my 2 Raspberry Pis and 2 Dell 3060 small form factors to a Ryzen 1.5 rack chassis with a pre-build and Proxmox with multiple VMs. Awesome. So going from 2 Raspberry Pis to 2 Dell small form factors is going to be a pretty big jump in compute. I know that when people think of like small form factors, they think of downsizing, but you're actually scaling up, which is pretty cool, and that's a lot more compute than you're going to get with a Raspberry Pi. It's a lot more of everything. You're going to have more RAM. You're going to have more bus for solid states, and you may or may not have solid states on your Pis now, but you get a bigger, wider bus, and you get a faster machine all around. So pretty awesome. And then you're still having a pretty small footprint, so pretty cool. Proxmox multiple VMs sounds awesome. I've kind of been in the small form factor game for a little bit. I have a couple of Intel NUCs floating around. I would love to build a cluster one day of just like Intel NUCs and have that be my super duper low power. The power is out, but I still need services kind of machines. One day. NUCs are kind of expensive. I mean, if you compare them, apples to apples to what you get, you're kind of paying for the footprint. There's a tax for that, and then relatively speaking, if you were to piece all the stuff out, it is kind of similar, but then you do pay the the small form factor tax. But other than that, it would be awesome. But I can't run my workloads that way with Kubernetes and everything I have going, unless I had about 12 nodes, 12 Intel NUCs, and that gets super expensive. Hey, Bradford, Bufford. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see. Kitavan. Oh man, I get the names. I apologize. I'm going with Kitty. That's what I'm gonna say. Kitty. Experimenting with running Manjaro in Proxmox to run some Windows-only software with Wine. Awesome. So running Proxmox as your hypervisor. With that, then you're running Manjaro as a guest, and then within that, you're trying to emulate Windows software using Wine. Sounds awesome. It does sound awesome for sure. It's been a long time since I've tried anything with Wine, and I'm assuming it's only getting better, and the support is only getting better. But yeah, let me know how it's going. And out of curiosity, what are you emulating with Wine? I think what I tried was like I went for the, I went for the gold when I did mine, and I was like trying to get Microsoft Office to run in Wine, and this was a while ago. Just because I wanted. I know that games can be kind of good, but Microsoft Office at the time, not so good. It might be better now. And I know Microsoft's probably just like use Office 365 on the web, and but these were different times. But yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's see. Never fear, Boris. Your bottom server looks like Otto from Wally. Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, it kind of does. Now that you say it, the bottom server, the most bottom server is a disk shelf. It's kind of headless, unless you mean my PC conversion. But my bottom one is a disk shelf, which may or may not be going away soon. As you can see, that server is still back there, and that as soon as you see that server not there, that means it's in the rack. And I feel like it's this long process, but I have so many little things to get right before I start putting things in my rack. What I don't want to have happen is load it all up, put all the rails in, and then have to keep shuffling and shuffling. So anyways, I got a couple more things until servers go in. Hopefully I can bang it out in the next couple of days, and then it's going to be loading it up, and it's going to be cutting over too. This is something I haven't had to do with my server rack or my services in years since I built my rack and my cluster. And even then, I had servers just sitting in a pile. Then they went to a rack, but I got to cut over all of my services, and I don't want to take downtime. I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's possible unless I go hybrid cloud for a couple of days or something. So who knows? Who knows? Documentation site might not be up for a while, and I know that stinks. But I got to figure it out. I might do some DNS magic. Documentation site is kind of easy because I have a fallback to GitHub Pages where it also gets generated and hosted, so I can do some DNS magic to make my documentation site fall back to there. But I might try a little bit of hybrid cloud, which means I need a load balancer in the cloud and shift some of my workloads there. For a couple of hours or a day, really, if I'm being honest with myself, and then move them back. So, that's some of the struggles or challenges with self-hosting stuff is when you need to take stuff down. And so, I don't know. I might need a crutch. Over maybe a day, 8-hour period where I shift some stuff to the cloud. But then I'm like, is that worth it? Is that worth it? Is spending all that time up front and building up some infrastructure in the cloud temporarily just to take stuff down for a day, is that worth it? I don't know. But I hate it when anything's down that I serve out that people go to, like documentation site, all of my short links, wiki, bots everywhere. When that's down, it kind of stinks. Kind of stinks for the people who rely on them. So I got a lot going on. I got to figure out. So. But awesome. Anyways, the bottom server, if you're talking about the actual server, it's a disk shelf. And then above that is my PC conversion. And I like them both. I got a lot of enjoyment out of both of those. PC Geek, how's it going, man? How's it going? Still working on the new NAS build. Figured out by going to UEFI boot, fix my dual boot SSD pool problem. Oh, nice. So you had to go to UEFI. Interesting. I don't think I've gone UEFI on my NAS yet. I forgot what your initial problem was, but I can't remember. I don't know if it wasn't that they were bootable, but anyways, interesting. I'll remember that because I haven't had to use UEFI for my NAS. Hopefully I don't, because that gets kind of scary. I mean, it should work, but and maybe I should. For some reason. Like if something supports old school just BIOS, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to do old school BIOS because I don't know. I mean, I know with Windows and stuff like that, UEFI, I always do it. I don't like force them to, I think in newer versions of Windows, you have to. But on server stuff, I'm still like, yeah, I'm going to do BIOS, even though UEFI has been around for like 2 decades. For some reason. Hey, thank you. Dude, thank you so much. Sir, I'm going to go with Sir, Sri, Mostacho, 100 bits. Thank you so much. Mexico lost to Argentina. Mexico lost to Argentina. Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Piece of cake, dude. Thank you so much. 250 bits, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Lights are flashing. Thank you. And then, Mostacho, thank you also for the follow. Appreciate it. But yeah, I need to, for some reason I go old school BIOS, and maybe because I'm old school and maybe I understand that more than doing UEFI sometimes on server stuff. Cause I understand UEFI for my desktop. It's super easy, but sometimes, getting into the BIOS or managing some of that stuff in the server, I'm just kind of like, default settings. If it's on UEFI, I'll do it. Hey, Carataus. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see. Phantom Way. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Crack Kitty, my man. How's it going? Let's see. What's up, Tim? Driving back from Ilude country. All right. Won't be able to chat much because we're in the car. Oh man, you guys are buds, man. I love it. And you guys, I think, met through our Discord server. I think. I don't know if you guys knew each other before that. But pretty awesome. Tell iLoot I said, what up? I wish I was closer to a lot of you sometimes so I could just meet up sometimes. And it doesn't seem like too many people are in or near Minnesota. It seems like a lot of East Coasters. But yeah, tell them I said hello. Drive safely. I'm glad you guys are meeting up. I've seen a couple of things. I think you posted you guys were having beers one day. I was like, oh man, this is like legit. So anyways, drive safely. Boris, I'm about to go fix my Pi-hole deployment on my Portainer. Good luck. No. Yeah, Pi-hole is awesome. It's kind of tough in a container sometimes, but you know what you're doing. And and if something goes wrong, it's then all of your DNS is down, which kind of stinks. And if you use it for local DNS too, that kind of stinks too. So. Tread lightly. I hope you figure it out. I don't know what's wrong with it. I've been pretty lucky where Pi-hole has just been rock solid for a long time. You do get those occasional like warnings or the DNS packet size is too big or too small or who knows what's going on. And I'm just like, okay, Googling this. How do I fix it? Set the DNS packet size a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. But other than that, it's rock solid. I do wish, and I'll be looking soon that I could do DNS a little more declaratively. I do like that I have the option to go into a UI and make changes or even add new items, but I wish I could deploy it. I wish I could deploy my DNS changes through CI/CD and keep it all in Git. So that Git becomes the source of truth, and maybe there's a way. Maybe there's some kind of hack I could do, and find that file on the Pi-hole, and just keep shipping that file and rewriting their file and cycling the services. I'm sure someone's figured it out, but that's my only criticism is, man, I wish it. I mean, it's not designed to do that. It's not designed to do a lot of things that I do to it. High availability. With Cube or not KubeVip, but. Anyways, a VIP in front of it, as well as, and then syncing it. Like, it wasn't built to do any of the stuff. I'm still doing it, but I would love to be able to deploy my DNS changes to it rather than go to a UI, because it would be awesome. But yeah, good luck on that. Xavius D, how's it going? Working on my toothache. Oh, sad face. That sucks, man. That sucks. Teeth problems are no joke. I just had to go to the dentist to get a little something. Well, I had to go to the dentist, then I had to go back to the dentist to get a little something fixed, and it sucks, man. And it sucks. Anything with your teeth being wrong or hurting or chipped or cracked or anything, it sucks. It really sucks. And like everything feels like bigger than it is. And this is gonna sound weird, but like when you have something wrong with your teeth, it feels like it's a lot bigger than it really is inside of your mouth. It's super weird, but like. I had a little chip. I could put my tongue on it, and I'm like thinking it's, this thing's like the Grand Canyon. And then I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, it's, it's kind of small, but for some reason, everything's like magnified on your tooth when you feel it. So I hope you get better, man. That stinks. It's tough. I hate teeth. I do. It's tough. I had braces growing up, and I had to have a lot of them removed because I had too many, or they were everywhere. Still not the best, but I hate teeth. I don't know. I like them, but I wish teeth didn't have problems like I have. Still trying to figure out how to manage it as an adult. Yakto, how's it going? Got my new container cluster host. Nice, man. Also working on getting my LXD containers deployed via Ansible. Awesome, man. Awesome. I'd love to see that, and I'd love to know, what you're doing with LXD. And what your decision tree looks like for, containers. Well, if you're talking about your container cluster, I assume you mean LXD containers. But yeah, your decision tree for LXD containers versus app containers. I think I kind of spilled the beans right there. If you need a general purpose OS, maybe you're only using containers now instead of virtual machines. Or if you need to install something specific, maybe you're using LXC. Would love to know your thought process and your decision tree on if you're using, containers or a container runtime outside of LXD. LXC, or LXD. But yeah, interesting. Also, welcome to the Eaton Trip Light Power Gang. Hey, thanks, man. I know that you were talking about it, I think a couple of weeks ago. I think even last week you were talking about your 0U one, which I did a little bit of investigating. Not a UPS, but a PDU. And I have a 1U PDU, but I've been considering a 0U PDU that, mounts horizontally or vertically between the posts, just so it's not taking up space. But yeah, pretty cool. I was in the Trip Light gang. I had the cheapest. The reason why I bought Trip Light to begin with is, one, I wanted it to be rack mount, and two, I didn't want to pay like a lot of money for it, which seems kind of odd. It's doing something pretty important. But Trip Light at the time was the most affordable rack mount UPS that there is. I think it still is. And so I have that one in my rack. I think eventually it's going to go into a mini rack as soon as I build that. So that one will live on. But yeah, it's super solid devices. I have had zero problems other than like I'm, probably drawing too much power, and they don't last as long as I'd like them to, but we'll see. We'll see about these new ones. So what if you did? I don't get it. Oh, I'm lost on the thread. I'm lost. Sorry. Lauren. Oh, this is a tough one too. Lauren Tew? That's what I'm going with. Hi, Tim. Watching your YouTube video for a while now. Glad I got to see you live on Twitch. Hey, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being here and coming in and chatting. It's nice to hear when people are like, hey, I found you here and now I'm over here finding you here. It's pretty cool. So thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Xavius, people are just jealous most times. I see. Now I see the thread. That who you're going. So people are just jealous most of the time because they didn't get free stuff. But the truth is, companies providing free items or brand deals is how to generate income survival. Yeah. Sorry if that was kind of a rant at the beginning. Yeah, and I always use the air quotes free because, and I was gonna like not unload, but like explain myself to a comment, and I was like, I started typing. I'm like, I don't have to explain to anyone. I'll explain to my people, live or in Discord. Like, I'm not explaining to a random person that's commenting stuff that is obviously bitter. But anyways, a lot of people say free. You got this for free. It's like, no, I actually spent about 40 hours, writing, scripting, producing, editing, and doing everything on social, thumbnails, time codes. I spent about 40 hours per video. This was not free, and that's another thing that people don't understand. It's like, it's not free. I mean, did I have to pay money for it? No, but I paid a lot of time and a lot of work that could have went into something else. So anyways, but I appreciate it. I'm glad you understand. I'm glad you do. Boris, Tim, I would actually be happy if a vendor sponsored you. That's actually good news. Thank you. Thank you. And what's wrong with to give you a free product? You make a video for how you implemented, installed said product, and how you would use it. That's actually a good thing. Hey, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Micro Center has been a long time sponsor, and they're freaking awesome. I mean, everyone that I've been involved with, any brand, has been really awesome. And I know that when people see brand stuff in videos, they think, ooh, brands, but like really, they're trying to do right too. And so, a lot of these companies are either trying to survive or trying to keep people employed. So, and they're always so nice and so gracious, I would say. So, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate it. And I think like the first time I ever got sponsored, people were happy for me, and I was like, whoa, that was like not a response that I expected. And it was the most, it was a genuine, like, I was surprised. I was like, whoa, people usually don't like commercials, quote unquote, when I have sponsors, but like people were genuinely excited when Micro Center sponsored, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So anyways, it's a tough battle. It's a tough battle and a balance. It is for sure. Tim does not equal a commercial at the end of it. I've learned something. Tim does not equal. Thank you. Thank you. Long-time YouTube viewer. First time catching the stream. Thank you so much, Merlin. Spent the last day or two Twitch streaming from ESXi to Proxmox. Glad to be here. Spent the last day or two switching. Sorry, I was like, streaming? What? switching from ESXi to Proxmox. Glad to be here. Hey, Merlin, I've been through that switch before. Don't get me wrong, ESXi is a great product. It's one of the most performant and one of the most used, hypervisors out there. It's fantastic. Unfortunately, I can't really, I should say I don't want to afford the licensing for what I do. And so, yeah, I think Proxmox is a great alternative to that, especially, an open source alternative to that. If you want to put in some work, because, VMware makes everything easy. They have certificates, they have support certificates like, learning certificates and programs like that, and tons of training. But if you want to put in some work and learn something, I think Proxmox is fantastic. And they have a lot of enterprise features, and it's not behind a paywall at all. It's open source and right there. So I agree. It's pretty awesome. I'm enjoying this train. Like I used to distro hop. I used to hypervisor hop a lot. I've been back and forth, between ESXi, the free version of ESXi at the time, Hyper-V, and Proxmox. And I used to hop around a ton. And I'm sticking put for a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to not hopping around, but I've kind of built, a pretty decent, I think, tech stacks right now. So I'm sticking with it until it sucks. Then and I need to burn it all down. I'm going to stick with it for a little while. It's super fun. Xavier D, finally finished moving my work laptop to my actual desk. Awesome. So this is the carbon fiber wrapped one. Clean living room. And setting up a 3D printer so I can join Manny and all the guys in the 3D printer forum or channel on Discord. Woohoo! Yeah, I'm always so jealous when I see all the stuff that people are printing in our channel on Discord. I know that I could probably get one, but I keep telling myself like the longer I wait, the better they'll be when I do buy one. So. Anyways, yeah, I'm super excited about it too. I love seeing the things that people print and how they use them because I get so many ideas. And I used to have a short list of things that I would print when I'd buy a printer, but Manny printed my Turing Pi faceplate and shipped it to me. So now I have one less thing that I need to print when I buy one. But yeah, I'm super excited about it. I'd love to design something at some point, and yeah, have a 3D printer. If not, I would love to print trinkets in the beginning. Blade, how's it going? Hey, all, how's it going? Boris, any opinion on malicious Docker images news? So this comes up a lot, and it's going to come up with anything that people use. It comes up with anything that people use, and it stinks. So I think what you're referring to is that malware or something gets injected into a container image. Hey, Feldspa, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. And so things that and so the concern is, hey, all of these containers that people use and pull down all the time might have something injected into it. And if you don't know and you go to pull the next one, now you have that software running on your system, good or bad, right? And so if someone goes after a build process or opens a pull request to put some, to put some code in there to execute within that container, and that gets built and that gets shipped out, and if that's a base container for a lot of other containers, then that replicates replicates itself like everywhere because everyone inherits that from that container. Yeah, it happens. I mean, it happens with a lot of stuff. It happens, with Python packages. It happens with Node modules. It happens with all kinds of shared packages. And it's not just because, it's not just open source. This happens with closed source stuff too. And it doesn't happen just because it's open source, because, more eyeballs means they should be able to catch it. But what I will say, my word of caution always that I do to this day is pin your container images to a version, make it immutable, because then you are how do I say this? If you pin your images to a SHA, even better, SHA or hash that gets generated when it's created, then you're not going to be affected by the next version's problem. And so where you get into trouble is when you pin the latest or you pin to something generic like version 1, and that's a rolling update. It's a mutable version of a container image. And when I say mutable, I mean it can be changed. So people are, sometimes some people will have a rolling 1 version, and this is the latest one, and a rolling 2 version, and this is the latest 2. And you hop on that train. You're like, yeah, I want version 2, and I always want the latest version 2. And then now you are susceptible to these kinds of things. You're also susceptible to it if you make the change yourself and pin to the new SHA that has it, or pin to the new tag that has it. But that's a conscious decision rather than a programmatic decision the next time you pull down that container. So anyways, long story short, the way that I kind of protect myself is a couple of ways. One, I always pin all of my containers to an exact version, to an immutable version, a version that can't or won't be changed. So I have the same version of code every single time. If there's an update to one of those containers, what I try to do, I'm not the greatest at this, and you can actually script this, is wait. Wait a day, wait 2 days, wait 3 days, because you don't necessarily know what might have slipped in there or what's in there. Waiting is good, unless there's like a 0-day attack or something on the one that you have. Obviously, you're gonna have to make some decisions, right? Do I jump on the latest version because this one has some vulnerability, whatever. But all that out the window. Waiting is okay too. It's okay not to be on the one that just got built 30 seconds ago. Totally okay. It's okay to not be on the one that was just built yesterday or the day before or 2 days before. It's totally okay. And waiting is, I think, a good thing, especially when it comes to shared packages, because you kind of let everyone else beta test everything for you. And so sometimes when things get released, you'll see another release real quick and another release real quick, and you just avoided all of that. And if you use something, if you use RenovateBot, which I do, you can have a setting that says, hey, you want, a specific version, and that version must be at least X amount of days before RenovateBot will open a pull request on your stuff to update to the next version. Anyways, there's so many things you can do, but my advice is, if you're doing this manually, I know everybody likes Watchtower because they want to set it and forget it, but you can't think of Watchtower like operating system updates. You can't think of it like, you can't think of it like something like that's curated, that comes through the company or a security company or something like that. You kind of have to think of it like, hey, this is open source software. Something could go wrong, and you need to protect yourself against it. Anyways, but then again, then you're signing up for making all these changes manually, and that's where I think the best of both worlds is to use something like Dependabot or RenovateBot. So first of all, source control your stuff, pin it to exact versions. That solves the first problem. Then the next problem is, how do I update it? Well, then you use RenovateBot or Dependabot that will open pull requests on your manifests. If you're source controlling them, it's probably a good idea too. That will then update them for you. And then the third problem, which I talked about, is like the time period to wait. You probably shouldn't jump on the latest version right away, even though I'm a latest person. If you're that concerned about it, then put a grace period to say that, hey, this new version has to exist in the wild for at least 3 days. And then if you're using Dependabot or RenovateBot, you can put that in there, and RenovateBot will basically say, yeah, I see a new version. You're telling me to wait 3 days. I'm gonna wait 3 days. And I see a new version, same as last time, wait one more day. And checks again, and it says, okay, this version's been out for 3 days. Now I'm going to open a pull request. And I think a couple of things like that are going to go a long way. I mean, and then if you're using some of these containers, check the release notes, check the issues. It's all there. It's all there. It's in GitHub. Most repos that containers are using are used by thousands and thousands of people and have thousands and thousands of eyeballs on them. So, it's always a good idea to keep your finger on the pulse for the things you use. Anyways, there's so much you can do. And I put some of this together in a small video on like self-hosting security and things that I do. But I've layered on some more stuff too. Anyways, So Docker isn't alone. This will happen to everything. It will happen to everything every time. Just consider everything compromised at some point in time, because if you have practices in place or patterns in place that you use to protect yourself, like you're ready for this kind of thing, or not affected by this kind of thing. So, anyways, yeah, I love talking about this stuff, and I don't mean to chat your ear off, and I don't mean to make it sound like I've got it all figured out or that you're doing something wrong. No, it's I figured some stuff out. We could do some stuff better. But how much maintenance do you want to sign up for, or how much, complexity do you want to sign up for? And that's part of something you have to manage. You have to manage the risk. Is the complexity worth the risk? And that's up to you to decide. That's up to you to decide. PC Geek, that's weird. Chat overlay hid my message with the command. Oh, did it? I don't know. Chat overlay. Hopefully it did. Probably by design. I skip over them sometimes if they're chat commands. But then again, maybe you're talking about something else. So anyways, yeah, good question. Yeah, great question, Boris. We should chat some more in Discord or start a thread or something somewhere, and let's talk about all the cool things we can do to make sure that we're not affected by something like this. I would love to, have a longer discussion in a thread somewhere. That'd be great in Discord for sure, because I love this stuff and I have a lot of ideas, and I do a lot of this stuff not only on YouTube, but I do this stuff also for the company that I work for. Some of the things that I mentioned, the ideas are definitely there. And some things we've automated, some things we haven't. So yeah, real world plus YouTube stuff. I love it. I love it. Merlin, I would love to hear your thoughts about how you separate the storage pools in your Proxmox environment, specifically around setting up a TrueNAS VM and leaving enough spaces for the VM. Yeah. Good question. Because you're absolutely right. I still do virtualize my TrueNAS instance. So my NAS is virtualized within Proxmox. And my storage, this is going to get better here soon. Anyways, my storage is laid out like this. In Proxmox, I have a disk. I don't even, and this is bad. I'm airing some of my dirty laundry, but I have a disk dedicated to the operating system, 100% dedicated to it. I say a disk because it's only one. It's not mirrored, but I back stuff up from the OS, like configuration and stuff I need if I were to rebuild. Anyways, one disk for the OS. Then I have a pool of drives for all of my virtual machines. So I'm basically doing like a RAID 10, but it's ZFS, but a striped mirror for all of my virtual machines. So that gives me pretty good parity and great read and write speed. But I lose 50% of the drive space. But I bought what I thought at the time were bigger disks. So anyways, I have that. And then I have my TrueNAS machine virtualized. So the TrueNAS OS disk lives in that pool of virtual machine disks in that striped mirror I was talking about. So the OS disk lives there. But then for all of the disks that are belong to TrueNAS, that's where my disk shelf comes into place. So if you look at the bottom of my rack, you'll see that huge disk shelf with 8 drives out of 24 in there. What I do is I use an HBA controller, so basically a SAS or a SATA controller that is not RAID, that I pass through to the guest, and then I have this crazy cable that I can never remember the name. It's like 8081. PC Geek always remembers it. I can't even remember it, and it's my cable. But anyways, I pass that card through to the TrueNAS virtual machine, and then I run that cable down to the disk shelf, so that because the card is passed through to the guest, then every disk in that disk shelf, SFF 8088 QSFP plus, he's got it every time. I can never remember it, but he's got it down. Anyways, so that cable connects to the disk shelf. Then because that card is passed through, that card can see all of the disks that I plug into the disk shelf, and then I have a huge array that I can use for ZFS, or I can use for whatever I want, but as long as it's for TrueNAS only. So that's how I get around it, and that's why I only have 1U servers. I decided that my 1U servers are going to be mostly compute, and my hack around getting storage working too is to have a JBOD or a disk shelf where I can plug disks in that's outside of there, so I can grow outside of a one-use server, and then that's all connected via the HBA card. So yeah, it's I have an old video on talking about that. I think I have a video on, at the time it was virtualizing FreeNAS. I think I updated the title, but not the image. But in that video, I talk about all of this, and it's painful for me to watch. I don't think I cracked a smile once. I don't even think I moved. I was like this. I was like totally stiff as a board. Anyways, that one explains it, and it kind of shows my disk shelf, and it shows my HBA controller, and it says, you know, here's how I do it and here's why. But it's really nice because I can take that HBA controller, plug it into any machine now. You know, if I get a new machine, I'll just put the HBA controller in there, pass that through to the same guest that's virtualized, and it's like it never even moved. It's pretty fun, pretty cool, and pretty fun. But yeah. Let's see, Amber Dev. I would like to try Istio, yeah, on bare metal in place of HA proxy. No particular reason, but to see, is it possible? Never tried that, just for dynamic backend front-end injection. Yeah, ejection. Yeah, so Istio, I haven't done a ton with Istio. I know what it is. So it's going to help you create tunnels or secure tunnels, or basically communication, pod-to-pod communication, securely or different. And you can set policies and yeah. Wait, Istio? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was getting confused with FluentD for a second. I was like, wait, am I thinking about this right? Yeah. So securing pod-to-pod communication. Yeah, I haven't done it either. I hear it's awesome. There are other alternatives out there too that I've been exploring. At some point, I know I'm gonna have to do this, and the reason being is because I mean you're kind of talking about it here, but I want, and I mentioned it. I want to be able to secure the communication from pod to pod. You know, most if you don't do anything, your pod to pod communication, for the most part, is HTTP without certificates. And I know that you might have traffic or Nginx ingress controller, but that's for traffic coming into the pod. Or into your cluster, and then once it gets into your cluster, then it's pod-to-pod communication, and the SSL isn't terminated on the pod. It's terminated on a different pod, but it's not terminated on the pod that you might be going to. So, anyways, at some point, I would love to secure the pod-to-pod communication, so that everything's encrypted everywhere. And I think a lot of people doing Kubernetes haven't done this yet, and if they are doing it, they either are pretty advanced, or there's some regulation somewhere that says they have to do it. So at some point, I'd love to do it because there are tools out there that do it. I don't know what the best one is. Istio is definitely a front runner. But yeah, I would love to do more with it sometime. So yeah, I might get some tips from you then. But I think you can do it. I think you can do it for sure. Lots of light changing. Xavius, Tim, join me in the AMD gang. You wanna. Yeah, I know. I don't get me wrong. I mean, I have nothing against AMD. It's like when you pick your teams. What teams do you pick when you're going into battle? Well, who are playing a game. What characters are you gonna pick? And I kind of always depended on good old Intel and Nvidia. And even though AMD has been kicking butt. I mean, I stuck with Intel, the last 5 years, and just been getting mopped up by Intel or AMD, And so yeah, I've nothing against AMD, but yeah, I'm gonna take a good hard look here soon and see what my options are. See what my options are here soon. Amber Dev, dual socket. All right, agreed. AMD is the wave right now. Yeah, I agree, and there might be another wave here soon. Snoopy, I made it again. I must be doing something right. All right. Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Go big or go home. I like it. Yeah, I'm kind of there too. Blade, between Intel just dumping power into everything and pretending that constitutes good design and NVIDIA's price gouging. Yeah, I know. I know. It seems like I'm on the wrong side of the fence right now. For sure. Mainframe. All right, mainframe. Yeah, I built a mainframe the other day. Not really, but I built my server rack, which had a main space frame. PC Geek, I built my new PC, 32 gigs, DDR5 might add another dual kit to 64 gigs. Yeah, I think 64 gigs is the sweet spot for me for the new machine that I want to build. But if my motherboard supports 128, I'm like I said, I think I'm gonna max it out. But yeah, 32 is I never thought I'd be like needing more than 32 gigs of RAM. I thought for sure when I got 32 gigs of RAM. Yeah, I say this every PC build, but I thought for sure when I got 32 gigs of RAM that I would never touch it, never even get close. And I thought if I did, I'm doing some big data stuff. Like I'm doing something with Hadoop or something, software development stuff. I'm like, that's the only reason. Or if I'm running local virtual machines. No, it's called Open Chrome, Open Visual Studio Code, and then launch Premiere Pro. Boom, 28 gigs of RAM. Anyway, so yeah, I think 64 for me would probably be the sweet spot, but I think I'm gonna go 128 when I build it. ZVSD, I use the Arctic Freeze 240 AIO. Love it. I'll have to look. I forgot. I totally forgot which AIO I have. It's been so long. It's been so solid. I haven't even had to think about it. PC Geek went with the 360 EK AIO. Yeah, I saw it. Looks awesome. Good price too. Good price. Maybe you'll have enough dedicated RAM, I assume. Yeah. I think you will. Like I said, 64 I think is the sweet spot right now for a lot of people. If you're getting close to 32, I mean, how are you ever going to run out of 64 gigs? I'll tell you. Remind me in 2 years. How am I ever going to run out of 64 gigs of RAM? Because I'll be there. Almost dropped my old PC today. I was holding it by the bottom dust filter by accident and it slid out and almost dropped. Took some skin off my hand in the process. Ooh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. If you turn your PC upside down and that dust filter in there, like that little hole, I mean, that's a natural place to grab it. But yeah, like on older PCs, you could grab them by the face if they were screwed in. Some of them had like those little tension things, but you could, older PCs, you can grab them like that. But not if it has a dust filter. You got to watch out unless you take it out. Hope you're okay. Just a little off the top layer. Ouch. Yeah, that kills, man. That kills. Ruhan, I got it right this time. We are using AWS VPC CNI. Okay, where each pod has an IP from the subnet. I see where you're going, but the subnet wasn't set up correctly from the start. So, busy rebuilding a new VPC with the big enough subnets and shifting deployments over to the new VPC. Feels like a massive workaround, but perhaps good for the future. I see what you mean. So basically, you're using AWS VPC CNI, where each pod then has an IP from the subnet. Yeah, because I was like, I was trying to figure out like how are you using so many IP addresses? But if you're using a different CNI, so from AWS, and that's how they do it, they assign internal IPs to those pods, AWS internal IPs to those pods, and yeah. Once you get, depending on how you're subnetting, but once you get 200-ish, 250 pods, you're probably like, yeah, I'm totally out of IP addresses. Because there are probably some other things in there too. But yeah, interesting. I've only used internal IP addresses, like internal, I use Flannel or whatever CNI. But mine has always been internal IPs, a 10 dot something that are just auto-assigned. I don't even have to think about it. Interesting. I'm wondering what the benefit of that is. Is it so you can address pods directly? Because I always port forward, but I don't know what I would do if my pods had an internal IP. Actually, it'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool for debugging and stuff like that. But it would be wild because, I do rollouts. I scale to 3, I scale to 4, I scale to 1. It sounds pretty cool, though. It sounds pretty cool for sure. I've never done it, but that's interesting for sure. I'll have to look into it. Like, why would you assign, private, I don't want to say public IP addresses because they're not public, but there are ones that are assigned by DHCP versus one that are internal on Kubernetes. Need to figure out the use case for that because it sounds interesting. I'm sure there's a great reason why. PC Geek, that's what I get for trying to move some old PCs off the floor out of the way. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. That's what you get. Dedicated WAM. That's what I assume he meant. RAM. A dedicated WAM. I like it. Yeah, WAM, like WAM, WH. I don't even think I've ever had a good experience running anything in Wine. Yeah, I same here. Most of it was a can I versus should I. most of what I did back then was a can I versus should I, because I was like, yeah, I can do this stuff in Linux. Yeah, here's how you do it. You just do 15 hacks and get wine going. That's the ultimate safety net back in the day. But I mean, there's so much. It's evolved so much that there's almost not a use for it unless it's something very specialized. Because even unless it's something specialized. If not, there's open source alternatives for it, or if you're using custom code, there's code that runs cross-platform that may be able to be cross-compiled too. So yeah, it sounds interesting. Salvaris, you could work something out with Yocto and his Cloud Garage setup. Yeah, for sure. Yocto, can I shift some workloads over there? Can Yocto? What was it? Yocto W West, Northwest. The DC, Yocto's DC. Yeah. Can I shift some loads? Can I have a hybrid cloud for a little bit with you? Yeah, it's tough, and it's not even so much having the compute somewhere else. It's more just it's more of moving my load balancer out of my cluster and moving it into a public cloud. It totally can be done, and I know I'll have to do it someday, but really that's the only way that this is going to work, because things hit my load balancer in my cluster now that's self-hosted. And so if that doesn't exist, I got to move the load balancer into the cloud. I think that's the first step. And then I could do some dynamic routing stuff. I could have them both up, I guess, and do dynamic routing or something, or health checks to see if either load balancer's up, and have a load balancer in front of the load balancers. I'd have to do some research, but there are definitely ways, and it's like, oh, do I want to spend the time doing that, or just tell folks, hey, give me like 4 hours. Give me like 4 hours. I'll redirect my doc site, but then none of my links anywhere will work, which kind of stinks. Or Monsoon, that's true. He's running the Monsoon VPC, his own too. John, it's not important to map everything out on paper first. Go over it 3 times before. It's important. Sorry, I was like, it's not important. I was like, all right, bias towards action. That's kind of me too. So John was saying it is important to map everything out on paper first, go over it 3 times before beginning the project, and then realize during the rollout that none of it will work and cobble everything together. All right, that's what I'm talking about. All right, there was light at the end of the tunnel there. I like it because that's life right there. You plan some things, and you think it's going to work a certain way, and then it doesn't, and you just try to figure it out. That's kind of how I roll out some services too. That's kind of how I roll. That's kind of how I roll with my Homelab. So yeah, for sure. Hey guys, I'm getting. Sorry, I'm having a super fun time with you, but like I said, I'm a little bit over. Sunsets in about 15 minutes here, and I got to get some yard furniture stuff taken apart before it totally goes down, so I don't have to have a headlamp on and get this in the garage because it's going to get cold again. And this is my last window to get this table and these patio chairs and stuff broken down into the garage. So anyways, TMI, I know. Anyways, I'm going to look real quick for, like I mentioned, here. I'm going to real quick. Nikolai the Bear. Hi, Tim. Do you have any interest in doing Azure content? AZ900, AZ104, Certified Systems Engineer here. Hey, sure. Azure content? Yeah, I mean, I'm not against like cloud stuff. Like I run my own personal cloud. I mean, I have a lot of the same concerns that public clouds have. So, yeah, not against it for sure. It's tough sometimes, like picking one cloud and saying, hey, here's how you do it in this one cloud. I know that a lot of clouds do a lot of the same things. If there's stuff that's generic enough to where it will work in any cloud, rather than, hey, here's the very specific way you do this in Azure. But if there's a generic way to do it across that, that can traverse any cloud, yeah, I'm all for it. Like I was just saying, like I need to come up with hybrid cloud, maybe, sort of, kind of, maybe. Nah, probably not. I need to that's better. I might come up with a hybrid cloud solution. It's going to be Azure. I'm not sure. I haven't thought that far about it. I just have this idea that at some point I might need Azure. Did I just say that? At some point I might need hybrid cloud because, what if my services are down? And that's not fair to other people. So anyways, not against it at all. And congratulations on your Azure certification. I'm a huge fan of Azure. I mean, I use GCP, AWS, Linode, Azure. I use them all. A huge fan. I wasn't a huge fan in the beginning, mainly because their UI was so crazy, but it's refreshingly nice. Again, they've simplified it, which I'm a fan of. Anytime you can keep, tools like that or dashboards or basically, cloud consoles simple, I love it. And Azure has come a long way. In the beginning, their console was so confusing. But now it's actually super nice. And I was in there last week to do something for a third party, and it was very intuitive. And the first place I looked for everything, it was there. And I was like, awesome. Where was this like 5 years ago? Anyway, I don't mean to be critical. Anyways, congratulations on your certification. Not against it. I would love it if it was something more generic and it's, oh, by the way, this works in GCP, this works in AWS, this works in, Linode, this works in Azure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. All right. I'm gonna, all right. Last one, cause I see my name and I have no idea. It's a big one. Hi, Tim. Swiss Techno Tom. How's it going? Hi, Tim. Hope you are fine. I am fine. In Europe, the electricity costs are exploding. Yeah, I agree. And the cost of running 24/7 Homelab server infrastructure is raising up every day. How that situation shows in the USA, it continues raising up that way. I will migrate some of my compute resources into the cloud, as we were just talking about. VPS. What you mean about that? So I get what you're saying. You're basically saying, hey, energy costs in the Europe are skyrocketing. They're going up here in the U.S., but not like they are in Europe. And the world, has a huge, inflation problem right now, and things are expensive, especially food, and so we are, some people are struggling, having to pick and choose. And while energy costs may not have gone up as much as they have there in Europe, our food costs have gone up a ton. And so people might be choosing between like, hey, am I gonna put food in the pantry, or am I gonna, run my home lab this month? Cause it's up there. But yeah, I'm always interested in speaking of hybrid cloud. I've been interested in that too. What does it look like to run a home lab in the cloud? And I don't mean like, hey, I'm gonna put my NAS up there. Maybe it does mean that. But how can I get some services running in the cloud, but treat this VPC as if I'm remoted into machines in my basement? Or how can I offload some of that compute to somewhere else where the energy, they're able to absorb the energy cost versus me, but it's still private, still secure. There are ways to do it. So anyways, yeah, I've been thinking about this a ton. I have something in my backlog to really figure it out, and do something that is helpful to some folks, because I agree that energy costs I can't imagine in Europe are through the roof, and so people just can't even run servers at home anymore. There's obviously bigger problems going on than that, but that kind of makes me sad. And so, hey, would instead of shifting or spending 5x on electricity, could you spend 1x on cloud costs? Maybe. I don't have an answer for you, but it's definitely in my backlog. I need to spend some time to be able to do it right. And I have things in my backlog too about hybrid cloud, and maybe they just maybe they're one and the same. So no matter what your challenge is, if it's higher energy costs, or it's not enough space, or it's too high here with my servers on, or I want to fail over to cloud, maybe there's something here for all of that. So anyways, that stinks. I totally agree. And energy costs are crazy. I hope they come down. I hope a lot of things resolve peacefully everywhere. Which, in a sense, should bring stuff back down. So anyways, so man, I didn't mean to leave on such a serious note. But Swiss Techno Tom, hey, if you got to shut her down and go to the cloud, you let me know how it goes. I'd love to follow this story. How do I sign up for the Swiss Techno Tom updates of moving to the cloud? Because I want to sign up for them. You can post in Discord, or if you have a Twitter, let me know, because I would love to know what your experience is. And so maybe we can all learn from that. Or we just go to hydrogen fusion. Right, Drake? Yeah, hydrogen fusion. That is the solve for everyone. So hey guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the conversation. There's so much. I have so many ideas. I leave this stream fully energized. Like I want to go build new servers. I want to put stuff in the cloud. I want to tighten up my security. I want to fix all my disks. I want to, I want to build a new workstation. Every time I leave here, I leave here energized. And although, it does take a lot of energy, I feel like mentally it totally energizes me. So I really appreciate you being here, and chatting and giving me ideas and feeding my brain. So I appreciate it. If you have more questions or wanna follow along on Techno Tom's story of him moving to the cloud, he's gonna post that in Discord in a thread. Like that? I'm setting you up. No, but if you want to chat with more people or chat with me or anyone or get ideas outside of just today or outside of YouTube or have asynchronous conversations with people about things we're interested in, join our Discord. It's full of, I think we're at 8,000 people now, full of 8,000 people. Yeah, low pings, I think one every 2 weeks now. It's super low pings. Obviously, if someone pings you on their own, that's different. But from the server, it's about one a week average, if that. But a lot of great people in there. A lot of the people you're seeing here in our channel right now, and then a lot of people you don't see because they're either on a different time zone or they're busy right now. So it'd be awesome if you join. And links are in the description, or use !Discord. So yeah, thank you guys so much. There were follows, there were subs, there were resubs, there was bits. Thank you all so much. It's more than I ever could imagine. So I appreciate it. Everyone have a great rest of the Saturday. If I don't see you on YouTube this week, I will be on Twitch back here next Saturday for sure. So have a great rest of the weekend and take care, folks. Be good to each other.